Rueter has been overthinking pro wrestling since Hulk Hogan dropped that leg on the Iron Sheik at WrestleMania I. He's been turning those thoughts into content for SB Nation and Cageside Seats since somewhere around WrestleMania 28. And now, in this ever-shifting digital age, he's got his eye on something just as unpredictable as the squared circle: Netflix metrics. We don't get a lot of data about how WWE Raw is performing on Netflix. Netflix isn't exactly the most transparent platform. But what little we do get comes from their own promotional hub, Tudum. That's where they publish their weekly top 10 lists. It's not everything, but it's something. Tudum ranks Netflix's top 10 shows by views, but not in the traditional, how many people watched, sense. They calculate viewership by taking the total number of hours subscribers spent watching a show and dividing that by the show's runtime. So the more episodes or longer runtimes, the more potential views. It's a kind of fuzzy math that only makes sense in the world of streaming. The top 10 list we get by default is global. That's the only one where Netflix gives us the numbers, the actual watch hours and view count. If you dig into the rankings by country, you'll only get the list. No numbers. Just who's up and who's down. There are also separate lists for English language shows and non-English language ones. So even if something's dominating globally, you might not see it in the English list if it's in Spanish or Korean or Hindi. Netflix splits the data across languages and formats. That includes movies too. Separate top 10s for films and series. Now here's where it gets interesting. Raw, yes, WWE Raw, is one of those English language series, and as of its 22nd episode streaming on Netflix, it actually cracked the list. This wasn't just any Raw. It aired live from Tulsa, Oklahoma on June 2nd, just days before Money in the Bank. That means it was the Go Home show, the last big push before the premium live event. And as we know in wrestling, Go Home shows can be hit or miss. But this one had its share of buzz. Stephanie Vaquer qualified for the women's Money in the Bank. El Grande Americano punched his ticket for the men's match. And then there was the shadow cast by Seth Rollins and his new stable, a group that's been causing mayhem and drawing heat with every appearance. That June 2nd Raw episode managed to rank 8th globally among all English language series on Netflix for the 7-day window ending June 8th. 8th, not just in the US. Not just among wrestling fans. Globally. That's a pretty big deal for a wrestling show in the streaming age. Raw isn't just surviving on Netflix. It's making waves. And it's doing it in a landscape dominated by scripted dramas, crime documentaries, and prestige content. For WWE, this is a potential game changer. Raw has long been a linear TV staple, built on the back of cable packages and Monday Night Ritual. But the Netflix deal opens a new chapter. One where wrestling has to prove it can hang with Stranger Things and Bridgerton, and whatever true crime doc has everyone glued to their couches. WWE on Netflix is still new territory. And while Netflix's data isn't super detailed, it's clear that there's an audience. There are viewers logging in, searching WWE, and clicking play. And not just out of curiosity. They're watching enough for Raw to crack the top 10. That's not just about wrestling fans, either. It means Raw is breaking through the algorithm. It's finding viewers who might not be loyal to the product every week. Maybe they clicked out of nostalgia. Maybe they were pulled in by a thumbnail. Maybe they just wanted to see what the fuss was about. Whatever the reason, it worked. Enough people watched that Raw episode to push it into the top tier of Netflix programming. In a week. That's not nothing. It's also a sign of what WWE's hoping to build. A new generation of fans who aren't watching on cable. Who don't care about USA Network. Who might never see a pay-per-view but are happy to binge a few hours of Raw from their couch or phone. And let's not overlook the timing. This isn't some random throwaway episode. This was a key point in the calendar. The last Raw before Money in the Bank. Stakes were high. Fans were invested. The card was taking shape. Stephanie Vaquer getting the win. That's a headline. El Grande Americano climbing his way into the briefcase match. Another storyline moving forward. Seth Rollins and his new crew causing havoc. That's the hook. That's the moment you circle on the calendar. Raw has always lived on its storytelling, its ability to weave weekly threads into big payoffs. Netflix, for all its differences, still rewards that. If the product is hot and the buzz is real, it rises. The algorithm notices. The top 10 reflects it. Now, we don't know exactly how many people watched Raw. We don't have minute-by-minute data. But Netflix's method, dividing total watch time by runtime, gives us at least a ballpark. Enough to say that Raw is competing, and sometimes even winning. It also hints at who's watching. Hardcore fans are there, sure. But casuals are logging on. Maybe even lapsed fans returning to see what's changed. Or first-timers giving it a go because it's suddenly front and center on their homepage. Wrestling isn't dead on streaming. Far from it. If anything, it might be just getting started. Raw's presence on Netflix gives WWE a new lifeline. A new platform. A new battleground. Think about this. A show that started in 1993, that has weathered Monday Night Wars, brand splits, PG transitions, and 3-hour bloat, is now ranking among Netflix's most watched English-language content in 2025. That's not just a stat. That's a story. A legacy adapting, surviving, thriving. Raw is reaching people who never tuned in on cable. Who might not even know what a USA network is. And yet here they are, watching from their couches in South Korea, tablets in the UK, phones in Brazil. It's global now. Netflix-level global. That's what makes the 8th place ranking so important. It's not a fluke. It's a footprint. It means the show has legs. That it can compete in this new ecosystem. We're still early in the Netflix-WWE relationship. There's a lot we don't know. How consistent will viewership be? Will other episodes chart? Will SmackDown get similar treatment? What happens when a new season of Stranger Things drops? But for now, Raw has a place at the table. Not as a relic. Not as a curiosity. As a contender. And that means the wrestling world better take note. Because the game is changing. And if you're not on board, you're getting left behind. Welcome to the new era. Where Raw isn't just Monday night tradition. It's top 10 global content. And for a fan like Sean Rueter, who's been living and breathing this sport since the first Mania, that's a sentence no one could have imagined 40 years ago. But it's real. It's happening. And it's only just begun.